Hello, hello, hello. I have missed you. I am going to show you my cute pink fingernails because I couldn't decide which color I wanted to use. And I'm going to put a nice double coat of white paint on this rock. It's about 6.5 inches wide. So I'm going to do the same thing I did with one of my last rocks where we just prime the top layer, keep the rest of the stone showing because it's beautiful, of course. But we want this to be nice and white because we need it bright. A nice primed background brings out the colors really nice, especially on a very dark stone. Now my stone is going to get darker once I seal it with resin as well. So I have to think about all of these things at the beginning. So I'm actually going to give this, I first brushed it on with a paintbrush, and then now I'm using a sponge dauber from Martha Stewart. It's very old, very, very old and dirty, but it still works. So I'm going to make sure that I let that dry and do 2 separate coats so that I have a very nice white background to start off with. Now I have some Cayman blue, some peacock blue, some perfect purple, some cerulean blue, some bright lime or citrus green. And you guys have seen me using these before. You can put them right on your fingers. They work great. Little sponges. And it's because there's a lot of them, so I don't run out before I have to rinse all of my sponges out again. So my white paint is dry. So now I'm starting off with perfect purple at the top. And what I'm doing is just a blended sunset background, I guess. An evening sky where we would see fireflies out. I don't know if you call them something different where you are from, but I grew up calling them fireflies. So let me know in the comments what you call them. If you've never seen them before, they're super, super cool. My son said, when he saw this, he's like, that's kind of sad. I'm like, what? He goes, well, they're in a jar. I'm like, no, there's no lid. They are being set free, my friend. So before anyone gets upset, someone captured these beautiful little fireflies, but now they're letting them go into the beautiful night sky. So I went from a dark blue to a light blue, and I'm just going to keep kind of getting lighter and lighter. This one is Ocean View. I'm just going to keep getting lighter and blending it in, going back and forth. Make sure you blend while your paint is wet. You can use like a fine mist spray bottle to spray your painting. Not too much, of course. You want it to be extremely fine. I actually went out and purchased one on Amazon, and I will put the link in the description for you guys. It's a little bit easier than mixing water with your paint. Because sometimes you just mix too much, and you don't want to do that. So, and sometimes it's not easy to work fast. Things come up and you have to go back to it. So if you spray it down with just a little bit of water, it should blend a little bit easier for you. And thank you to the person who sent that message, or comment, I should say, regarding a little spray bottle. I've been told this in the past and I've never even thought about trying it. But why not save yourself some hassle if you can? So I'm going to do that. I went from a light green to a dark green. We're not really going to see the green background very much because there is going to be silhouetted trees there. But you might be able to see through some of it, so we don't want it to just be white. So we're going to do the full thing in the background first, even if we're not going to see all of it. And I hope that makes sense to you guys. I'm also going to be adding some glitter to this background once it's dry and before I do my tree silhouettes. Yeah, so I'm going to add a little bit of hologram 2796. You guys haven't seen me use this in a little bit. It's one of my favorites. I got you guys hooked on it at the very beginning, I believe, with my scarabs or my glitter bugs. And I used the hologram 2796 on them and everyone fell in love. I love this paint and it never, ever, ever will be gone from my collection unless I can't find it anymore. So my paint is dry and now I'm just taking a paintbrush and I'm putting on a nice layer of my hologram 2796. It's going to make it look a little bit yucky right now, but it will dry clear with like diamond-like little crystals going on. So little sparkles. So now I'm just going to make sure that I don't have any big thick layers anywhere. And I'm just going to use one of my little finger sponges and blend it out a little bit, just so that I know there's not like a thick and thin layers all over the place that are going to look uneven in the end. So I just kind of blend it all out. And now I'm using an angled flat brush, and it's just little, well, here's my fine lining brush. I'm just going to put some trees. This is where my trees are going to be, guys. And now I'm taking this smaller, this is actually a brush that I got from the dollar store, dipping it in the paint, but not keeping like a thick layer of paint on my brush, just brushing some of it off of it before I go to my rock. So I just kind of sponge off, not really sponge, but wipe off some of the black paint so that it's not too thick. And I'm just going to do that same thing. I just kind of keep going back and forth with my angled brush until it looks kind of like trees. Best way for me to describe it. You do them how you want. If you don't want to do trees, it's totally up to you. You can do a different type of tree instead of the ones that I'm doing. You could do just one tree or just some bushes. You can draw like a picnic table and have the jar of fireflies sitting on a picnic table. I got my inspiration from Pinterest, from I think it was some kind of digital art that I saw. But this is my first time doing fireflies, so hopefully it looks like that to somebody in the end. And just be patient with the trees. Just kind of, don't be perfect about it. Don't worry about it being perfect. And I'm not. Like, you can definitely see that I'm not worrying about perfection. I'm just kind of splotching it on there with my little paintbrush in the shape of a tree, in the shape of like a spruce or pine. And it's just a forest, and someone is setting free our beautiful fireflies into the forest at night. So that's what we're doing. And don't worry so much about your trees. Just slap them on there. They're going to look beautiful. You can see I did drip a little bit of black paint above the second tree in, and I'm literally going to scrape that off, probably with one of my dotting tools, because it's on top of hologram. So it's kind of been sealed like with a glue. That's why it looks shiny right now, kind of glossy looking. But that means that I can like basically scrape off little splashes of paint that go places that shouldn't. So yeah, I just scraped it off and it's gone. So no worries if we make little mistakes. Now you can see I'm using a metal ruler. I have broken my tape measure. I have lost my other ruler. So I'm struggling with this metal one that doesn't bend over my rocks very well. But basically what my idea is now that my trees are dry, I've got a pencil and I just kind of sketched on where I want like a jar to be. And we're not going to see the bottom of the jar. It's just kind of like we took a picture of setting free the fireflies, and we're only seeing part of the jar, and then of course the background forest and the night sky and all of that. So I'm going to do the best I can with this. I'm not a realistic painter, and this is just supposed to be fun, right? It's just a new idea, maybe for the kids to try out, grandkids or you. There's nothing wrong with that. I love fireflies, and I love like night skies with glittering stars and all that stuff. You guys have seen me do this kind of stuff before. So I'm using a little bit of patina. I hope that's how it's pronounced. I could be wrong. And I'm going to try and do like a glossy shadow situation, reflection, I guess, off of this jar to kind of make it look like it's shiny. And I don't know how to do this, so I'm just guessing. But I'm watering down my patina, and I'm only using a very small amount. I don't want it to be really bright and bold. So I'm using my blending brush, and you can see that I'm just kind of smudging it on there like a little sponge and going along the edges where I think there would be a glare. And if you want to look up on Google or Pinterest, jars, look up jars or painted jars, and then you can kind of see where you can go from there, because it's not easy to visualize everything all the time. So you might have to look at pictures to reference, and I do that all the time. So this is definitely my first jar. And it doesn't look proportionate, and it doesn't look like it's an actual jar and that I could reach my hand in there, but I still like it. I think it's super cool. I think it's cool, and it'll look cooler when it's done. So I'm just going to continue to blend. I don't mind if I can still somewhat see through that light greenish blue color. I don't mind at all. I am erasing some of my pencil marks that I can still see, and I keep finding them. So make sure you erase your pencil marks before you go too far. I am going to outline the jar in black, and I'm going to mess with the neck of that jar, the opening, a little bit more after, but I'm more concerned about getting these beautiful fireflies in here because I've never done this before. And I don't know how bad of a job I'm going to do. So I'm also going to, just while I'm waiting for some of that to dry on the jar, I'm just going to give a nice thick outline to the outer edge of the rock as well. So we're going to kind of close it all in and clean it all up with a nice black line. But then I'm also going to put some gold dots. And I'm also going to incorporate gold in my little fireflies as well. So yeah, very simple. I'm not really being too careful about this jar. It's not my main concern, but I'm pretty sure that people can look and be like, oh, yeah, that's a jar. It looks like a jar. But we got to put something in it so that it looks like they're coming out. So what I'm going to do is just like 2 little black wings and a little black body. And I'm going to do that a bunch of times and make a bunch of little ones and do some of them coming out of the jar and flying away. So some of them are going to be a little bit smaller so that they look like they're farther away. But I'm going to be adding like a little white bum light to these as soon as I have them painted on and put them where I want them. Then I'm going to add like a little white ball, which is basically a primer ball, primer bum, a primed bum, so that the yellow stands out really, really bright, especially over top of the darker colors that these fireflies are going to be flying over. So you can't see some of them. I will be outlining their wings with gold. And nobody's going to tell me otherwise. I didn't put gold in some of my last ones, so I miss it. Gold and glitter. It is time. It's time to come out and play. I'm not going to go too far with the glitter. We already did the hologram, so that's good enough. Now you can see their little white bums, and those white bums are going to turn yellow once the white is dry. So I'm just outlining the little wings, and I'll probably go in and clean up the wings a little bit so that the gold isn't too thick. I just want to be able to see their wings so they don't just look like a little ball of light sitting there. I would like to see parts of their body. There's really not much to them, but if you want to look up lightning bugs or glow bugs or fireflies, whatever you guys call them, look them up so that you know what they look like in real life, and then you can decide from there how you want to paint them. I'm just doing mine super simple. I don't even think they're black in color, but they're just kind of like a silhouette as well, just like the trees. So we're not adding any color. It's just going to be black and gold. And of course, the light, they're light bums. Now this is moon yellow. I will be going over top of that moon yellow with a daffodil yellow. And I'm going to sponge a little bit of daffodil yellow around their lower parts of their body, their glowing areas, to make it look like they're glowing. We're going to try this, guys. We're going to try. So that's it. You guys can leave it the sky with the trees if you don't want to do fireflies, just so you know. I'm sponging off any excess extra paint. I don't want it to be too thick. And I'm just making their rear ends glow a little bit. A nice soft glow. Now I will be adding on top of that yellow part some glow in the dark paint. How exciting is that? So that when the light goes off, you can still see your beautiful fireflies escaping into the night. So I'm going to be using DecoArt Ultimate Glow. It's maximum strength glow paint. And once it's resined, you'll be able to see it glow when the lights go off. But this stuff is pretty bright. So definitely charge it up under a light before you use it. That way you know how bright it's going to be and how much to use. But I'm just using a little bit, and I'm sponging it around where any of the yellow was. That way it will all glow appropriately. I'm adding just a ball of the glow paint to the bums as well after smudging on top of that yellow bit. I want the ball of light to stand out as well. So I'm just finding my little wings again because I smudged over top of some of them. So this is going to clean them up a little bit. But they're going to look super cute very soon. And then I'm going to show it to you shiny, and I'm going to show it to you glowing as well. Anybody have any Easter ideas for me? Please leave them in the comments. And don't forget to hit the like button or even share. But just hitting the like button really helps me out because it gets my video out to more people. If it's liked, more people will see it. So make sure you hit that like button for me and get these fireflies out there. Maybe somebody's bored this weekend and they want to paint some fireflies with me. Hopefully this was easy enough. I try to make it easy enough that everyone can try it, and let me know what you think for sure in the comments. So I'm doing a nice thick black line around the whole thing, just kind of closing it off a little bit, completing it, and then I'm going to add some gold dots as like a little dotted frame. And because yeah, I can't just leave it like that. You can do this on any shaped rock, any sized rock. Just have to scale it down a bit if it's a smaller stone. But you can do this. I've taught you how to not only do a nice sky background using blended colors, but tree silhouettes and fireflies with glow-in-the-dark paint. So hopefully you walk away from my tutorials every single time learning something new or remembering something that you've heard about or seen before, and I've been able to inspire you just a little bit. That's my goal here. So thank you to all of you who are subscribed and support me and my channel and my artwork. I love you guys so much, and I want you to know that. I should probably say it in the beginning of the video. In the beginning of the video, so that I know that no one's dropped off and got bored yet. I want you all to hear how much I love you. So maybe I'll start saying it closer to the beginning. In an intro, maybe. I don't know. So I dropped a little bit of black paint there. I got to scrape off. But I'm going to be adding gold anyway. I'm going to put my name here in the trees. Do a little bit of glow in the dark, but I'm going to do gold as well over top of that. And I'm just using one of my bigger dotting tools and dipping it in gold. And I'm just doing some little studs, little stud frame around the whole thing. Try and keep them, you know, the same distance apart and the same size. Just do your best. I'm just eyeing it up and going from there. I probably won't bore you, make you watch me do the whole frame. But I promise you that's all I'm doing. I'm not going to change anything up. It's just dots. So we're going to let it dry, of course, and then this happens. Look at the night sky, you guys. Those stars are really shining. The colors are nice and bright. The fireflies look like their butts are on fire. The color's great. The sparkle's great. Everything looks fantabulous. Want to see a little bit closer. And now, there they are. It's kind of blurry. You don't really get to see the full effect of it, unfortunately, through video. But it looks super cool. And you can do lots of fun stuff with glow-in-the-dark paint. I love you guys. I will see you soon. Keep painting.